Good afternoon. Coming to you live from the IoT Newsdesk Live. We're here at CES 2023. I'm here with Mayor May for the City of Fremont. My name is Benson Chan. I'm the co-founder and Chief Operating Officer of Strategy of Things. I'm joined here by Mayor May. Mayor May, thank you for joining me.
No, of course. It's a pleasure to be here again with IMC and IoT Live to talk about some of the things that we have worked on and to return after a year where we've had a lot of impacts from the pandemic, but we're looking at how we move forward and reopen safely.
Good to have you here. Mayor May, for our viewers that may not know the City of Fremont, can you introduce yourself and the City of Fremont?
Sure. So I'm the Fremont mayor, and I'm proud and honored to be the first woman and first minority and Asian mayor in our city's 66-year history. It's home to about 250,000 people, and it's the 6th largest Asian city in the United States. And it's home to about over 1,000 manufacturers. Some of the small ones that people may have heard of include Tesla, as well as others that focus on EV and advanced mobility, clean tech. We have some of the most clean tech manufacturing in the United States. And also, our best product, I'd say by far, is the people.
Great answer, Mayor May. We're here at CES, and CES is always the home of innovation. And last year you were here, and we saw a lot of different innovative products and solutions, and we ran to a lot of people. You've always been known as a very innovative mayor, and you brought a lot of very interesting innovations to the city of Fremont. Can you share with our audience some of the things that you've done in the past?
Sure. So when we look at infrastructure, and all of the governments have very limited funding, we're trying to find best ways to utilize those limited funds for best practices. And so one of the things that many people are experiencing in this moment includes storms, natural disasters. And in fact, when I left my region, we were facing some of those challenges, whether it's apocalyptic fires, earthquakes, or floods. So having the ability to respond to the community in moments of need is critical. So we're fortunate to have 3 of our fire stations utilize the local technology in terms of solar and creating microgrids so that we are able to respond to the community in the moments when power is not on or not available, and to be able to respond to the community's needs. The other thing that we've had is things like our smart corridors. I think most people can relate to the impact of traffic on their communities, and be able to allow for multimodal types of forms of mobility that are utilizing best practices, whether it's Vision Zero, safe routes to school. And these types of implementations have really helped the community members, residents, to be able to travel safely. In fact, we were recognized as the national winner for youth traffic safety because when we implemented Vision Zero and some of these opportunities such as bike lanes and other paths, it reduced our major accidents and impacts to our youth by 90%. And so these are some of the things that we think are critical when we look at how we transform and move forward in the building of our development, whether it's housing or in the communities.
So Mayor May, you mentioned some awards, right? So I noticed that Fremont has actually received a lot of awards during your tenure. Maybe you can share with our audience some examples, some of those awards, and maybe some of those came from some innovations that you've done.
So one of the awards that I don't know exactly always if everyone agrees on the metrics, but 4 out of 6 years we've been the happiest city in the United States. But having things like having the resiliency and broadband access, or being one of the best places to work and live, really translated in this moment. And people, earlier this week, I talked about 5G and the connectivity, and working with local entities such as municipalities to have broadband master plans, to working with the state and federal levels, and this opportunity right now where we have transformational funding to implement innovation in terms of how we provide access, and working on not just individual city solutions, but regional. And in fact, I just saw earlier some of my fellow colleagues with the National League of Cities and U.S. Conference of Mayors, as well as the industry. So it really is a team effort in terms of delivering solutions. You can't just work in silos, but how do we work together? And I'm really excited to see that IMC is here, and also their members, for how they can bring together best practice and share those ideas.
Mayor May, you've walked around here for the last couple of days. What are some of the interesting innovations that you see or interesting conversations that you had that you could bring back to the city of Fremont and implement some of those innovations?
Sure. Right now in the state of California, many of us are looking at housing elements and how we build and plan our communities. But you can't just build the housing. You also need to think about transportation and other infrastructure. And so having the ability to look at some of the autonomous vehicles, and we are home to some of those manufacturers such as Zoox and other areas, where you're looking at, if you have transit, how do we get people to the first mile and last mile, and utilizing the autonomous vehicles, looking at charging infrastructure. The governor in our state wants to moving towards electric vehicles. But if you don't have the ability to charge, you can't really be able to implement that within our communities. So it means things like, even when you're designing the housing, to have opportunities to build in the turn lanes for multimodal, like here at the center we just saw yesterday when everyone's trying to leave at once, whether it's Uber, Lyft, and other types of transportation. As well as, I've been very fascinated to see how EVs can be utilized for trucks, for cargo, for delivery, and also for buses and transit. So those are some of the things that I think collectively, we as a region, I also sit on the Alameda County Transportation Commission, and when you're looking at implementing that, those are some of the opportunities we can utilize.
So one final question. I mean, you've done a great job. You made a big difference in the lives of the citizens of Fremont, but you're also an inspiration to a lot of young women, young people of color. If someone were to watch this video, what words of advice would you give them or share with them to follow your path, or maybe build upon some of the journey that you've gone through?
Well, I think it's important for people to be able to see it, to believe it, and also to have good role models and mentors. One of the things that I've always enjoyed, I started off on the school board because of my children, and I think many people find something passionate to them as a reason to serve. And to be able to find good mentors, it's one of the things that I really enjoy when we have a manufacturing day, and when we had the last in-person opportunities in the state of California, 20% of the manufacturing tours were in our city. And these types of innovations are one of the reasons why we can also address challenges like social equity and access to opportunities. Because I don't just want to have the jobs that are there and the companies that are fostering, but also the community. So it's truly a partnership to give people upskilling, to partnership with our local school districts, our entities such as our libraries, as well as our community colleges, to ensure that there's greater access. We have over 105 languages and dialects being spoken, and so even things like when we did redistricting and park surveys, to be able to provide QR codes and to provide that type of outreach in different languages is really transformational. And even earlier I was on a conversation about some of our rail, and when we talk about reimagining and reopening, how do we ensure that we're being thoughtful in the options that we're providing people and flexibility?
Well, Mayor May, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your insights. Best wishes to you and the continued growth of Fremont.
Thank you very much. I hope that as we move forward in 2023, I know we're here, we see a lot of VCs, CEOs, and I was telling people that I hope to be a CHO, which is the Chief Hope Officer, to be able to bring together the resources, programs, and solutions that our community members and businesses deserve and need to those who most are needed of that. So thank you, and wishing all the best of health, happiness, and hope as we move forward in the new year.
Okay, thank you, and that's a wrap from the IoT Newsdesk Live.